How is everybody doing today? Oh my god, I'm sorry. Just headache. Just finished over the first two episodes of the Peacemaker series. If anybody doesn't know what that is, that's a DC exclusive series involving John Cena as the head lead. Yes, pro wrestler John Cena. This is his second season after critically praised continuation of the Peacemaker, kind of a spin-off series from the Suicide Squad film with Idris Elba. And it continues Peacemaker trying to make himself more of the anti-hero pseudo villain after being part of Task Force X. Season 1 had him deal with an alien invasion involving butterflies that had Amanda Waller instruct him to work with a ragtag group of agents to try to destroy a bunch of brain invading parasite butterfly aliens. So like second season kind of continuates that to a kind of a more grounded aftermath this extent involving like Peacemaker's grieving process. Also, one of the love interests that he rescues before, they had a bit of a fling that was known over it as an accident. One of the female leads called Hardcore, her name is literally Hardcore, like I think one of her code names, that has more of a tough exterior, that literally gets pointed out after finding a job because she's kind of fired from the agency. Later on, she's shown to show over this hard exterior when Peacemaker's trying to relate. And this coincides with what he does later that's kind of a vocal point. Because in like the weaponry part of where Peacemaker gets most of his helmets, his weapons, all his armory, literally come from something that involves multiple dimensions. And there's doors to different pocket dimensions of his life. And in this life, he has a more happier family. He had a long-term relationship that fumbled a bit on the wayside, was still redeemable. Peacemaker's probably more in a more happier relationship with his father. His brother is still alive over a freak incident involving them pit fighting against one another. And it's in a more happier extent. And literally, when he came to cope with the fact after having an argument over with Hardcore, going over their issues, trying to like coexist over in society or do the things that Peacemaker wants to do, because Peacemaker wanted to be a hero. So the Justice Gang, yes, you'll see the Justice Gang. Y'all see the Superman film from like a month ago. No, I think it was 2 months ago when the Superman film happened. You'll see the Justice Gang. So like Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl, the Green Lantern, audition for heroes with a messed up mic. So when they were discussing about some bunny woman publicly about her camel toe, they come around saying that he's involuntarily violent, he sucks. They go discussing about what Hawkgirl want to eat, and it made him literally do a line of cocaine after the rejection, practically a rejection, literally undermining Peacemaker. And it goes over him doing a line of cocaine and staging over an orgy over in his own house until he literally fumbled in and went to this different dimension. and he found his brother. What his brother would look like growing up. He'd be a grown ass man. Like a ragtag group, these guys would have a good standing relationship. And him and his father would be so proud to just see his boys together and him reminiscing over drinks and talking about short people. Literally, there's a whole running joke about that and whatever derogatory name they find out of it. I'm just glad they just didn't keep it racial. Because you guys don't know what I think he was called the White Dragon, Peacemaker's dad. He was literally, I think, a Klan's leader. He was a neo-Nazi over in prison. Became over one of the major villains that Peacemaker had to fight, and literally had to kill his own father. So he's doing this alone while literally owning his dad's old house. So in this dimension, they're living practically together over as a happy family, reminiscing over Peacemaker's former flame that he'd be monogamous, even though knowing that like Peacemaker's more of a swinger, not really having that much of a long-standing relationship with a lot of people. Even though they try to build over relationship with the long-term love interest, it's obviously hardcore, and it kind of goes over like this narrative of probably loss or dependence over majority, like how Adebayo with her gay relationship, she's kind of separated over the wayside with her ex-girlfriend. Economos is still working, the only guy working over for the government that gives information to Adebayo due to their friendship. uh Vigilante's still around, one of like the annoying friends of Peacemaker, ends up getting into still his regular job over his day to day. It looks somewhat different. He kind of looks like the guy from a dude high school, the gay teacher. I think his name was Harold. He kind of does look like he was a Twitch streamer. He does he does Minecraft streams, but he's an avid vigilante, like incredibly mentally fucked, incredibly codependent psychopath, almost like Peacemaker to like a guy that he needs somebody under him, but he tries to dish over information to home the Peacemaker over to Economos because he still works under him, and using that relationship to get information on where Peacemaker might be. So like the first episode kind of lines over that and Peacemaker trying to shape out, but as soon as like another argument made him and Hardcore kind of grew drift apart due to a bit of a trying to bring back over the group that were part of Project Butterfly, like all of them together, hanging around even knowing like most of their relationship is a bit awkward due to some involvement involving Peacemaker's pocket dimension armory and how that would be a concern still over to the government. And I like how they add like General Flag, like the guy who died due to Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad film. So you have to like watch a lot of some of the DC films that kind of coincide. So that means Suicide Squad and the Superman film and it all connects. Thankfully, into more of an undertone of a revenge story involving a bit of government espionage with a bit of romance drama, a lot of nudity. Like if you're watching season 2, get ready for a lot more nudity. Like the legitimate orgy. They don't just show you tits. Let me keep it abrupt. They do not just show you breasts. If you're a fan of, hey, and I'm not trying to make a person swing the other way. If that's how y'all like it, that's how y'all like it. Just saying. I'm just saying. You're probably gonna skip a scene or two. It's not gonna be important, but truth be weird, you will see something swing in the distance. Unless you guys seen Game of Thrones and you're into that, that's fine. And it kind of goes with everybody except probably Vigilante because he's kind of okay with who he is. Adebayo trying to like transition away from the government world, trying to feel like she's a badass now, making that ruin over her relationship life. Is still trying to grow with her girlfriend. The bitch was trying to move to Gotham. I'm not starting my relationship with you in Gotham. I don't love you that much. No offense, guys. You guys don't know Gotham is a place where Batman works. You want to bring your girlfriend that you probably want to start a family with to Gotham? You're going to take a nice stroll into a robber pulling up, and Batman's going to see you jaywalk. Then you'll end up like George Floyd for no reason because Batman thought you just weren't obeying his law. No, not the law, his law. And I'm not even a fan of Batman, to be fair. I like the Flash. I'm just saying. But I gotta say, I it was off guard. It was a bit unexpected. The music lines, especially the intro song, was still outstanding. We know a conflict is probably going to happen, knowing the truth be told, because literally the first time Chris or Peacemaker has to, literally went over to see what his other family, his better family, technically is supposed to be, he saw another version of himself. So his dimensional doppelganger that saw him as an intruder and a doppelganger, he had to kill him. That's crazy. And it ends up with him killing his other self and hiding his body, having Vigilante help him dispose of the body, depart it. And it's kind of a mind fuck because you're kind of killing yourself. And that's crazy amongst like the development of how Peacemaker literally has to take himself out to make his own happiness. Literally going over to try to go with his dimension's former flame and actually make a relationship with him work, try to build over this happy family, everything that he would ever want in this ever dimension. And see that how that goes with a revenge story, his friendship collapsing amongst him and the government now up his ass, because you practically have something that's a massive game changer in your own doorstep. With also a chance of you probably going back to prison. Like, that's a lot of stuff going on in just one season, in my opinion. But I thoroughly feel like there's a good mix over with potential drama because I haven't felt like this enticed to watch a DC series since I feel like Creature Commandos, where it feels like you always get over that development, and John Cena just owns Peacemaker. I'll give this kudos. He's probably the second best actor I've seen in the WWE that's transitioned well because John Cena has just such an animated personality, so eccentric for a guy that's obviously built like a superhero, can play such a grounded fuck up where he can obviously be oblivious and know his circumstances. It really works with how it works as him as Peacemaker. It's like what would happen if you actually made a more grounded reality version of John Cena if he was down on his luck. I love it. I always liked the Peacemaker character and it works so well. That's why he's so commercially grabbed around the media. You see him also, he motherfucker's even on a video game. He's on Mortal Kombat. John Cena has really transitioned himself so well into the acting world. We've seen him ace almost a lot of characters. Brother is in the Fast and Furious series. He has worked himself over from being from the Marine to involving himself in GI Joe material, a comic book series, televised action dramas. He can play a big, giant, muscly goofball that can be eccentric plus poetic. The guy has aced it so far in the acting world. The only guy that probably has a step above him is Dave Bautista. And I don't know when that's gonna transcend with John Cena really morphs his body like how Dave Bautista. He's he's more entrenched in Hollywood than John Cena has been over the past couple of years, and most of that comes over to him just knowing that this is more of a long-term investment than the professional wrestling business. I can morph over my body without making it more of a health risk, and I think that's why Batista has done well to transition himself more over to the wrestling business than, let's say, John Cena. That's still regularly built, knowing this is going to be his last WWE year. Uh, because it probably teased over that he's going to face Brock Lesnar before the year ends around a Saturday night main event. at Massachusetts over his hometown, and I can understand people are obviously disappointed that we're wasting over the calendar year of John Cena with a fumbled heel turn. His storylines, his Logan Paul match was a lot to be desired. Now we're not even gonna have him blow off in a feud that's going to be as satisfying. It's not going to be pushing the next generation because that's already fumbled over in everybody's face because WWE can't book young performers consistently. And yeah, why not just have a good blow off feud against a star that we know of, like Brock Lesnar? So that would be the only thing that could save it. Because let me tell you why I hated John Cena's heel run. I, all his promo style, his gear never looked different. They were still recreationally trying to sell merchandise of a heel. Never even letting him change over his style to make him feel more corporate or more controlling. When it's shown like in his acting range that he can obviously hit that note. John Cena has shown that he can play an unlikable but authoritative heel role that can still be menacing, but nobody will ever like him. Like, and that's the point. But I gotta say, I give the first two episodes of Peacemaker like a good. I give it a good 8 out of 10 so far. We're currently 2 episodes in. When I was watching it on a streaming service, I was watching it over. I don't know when the first 2 episodes are coming in. I don't know if we're gonna do it 2 at a time, or 3 at a time, or 1 at a time. Because I understand televised series done it before, where sometimes they just do two series season, like Ironheart. When we watched Ironheart, bro, let me tell you, they didn't give a fuck about Ironheart. They dropped like the first 4 episodes, or I think the first 5 episodes or 3 episodes. Then they just dropped the last three. It was that ass. It was that ass, bro. Thankfully, it was like 3 hours. I could have had content for shorts based on that, but apparently no. Now, Arch Manning is another person that's been over in the conversation. Because Archer Manning has, of course, been over in scrutiny after facing the #1 team in college football. Now, there's a lot of things that make it a bit hard for people to like grasp. That nepotism doesn't guarantee same ability; it just guarantees opportunity, and that doesn't scrutinize what a family member could do for you, or it doesn't scrutinize what you could do with your own ability, but it just scrutinizes a person's existence to even contribute. Because I got family members that are doctors, nurses, electricians, lawyers. Does that mean I'm going to be one of them? Absolutely not. Could they get me in the door probably to try to earn my way up to do something like that? Absolutely. Not everybody's going to be like Marvin Harrison Jr., where you already have the ability right there up for you. Like, I feel like that's a bit unfair. Am I trying to like protect Arch Manning? No. He performed like shit. You deserve to be made fun of. If you do perform, everybody would be glazing the shit out of you. That's just fact. Sure, even if you did perform, some guys still scrutinize you on the way you play. If you continue playing that way, if you don't play a specific type of way that you do, yes, you will get scrutinized. All because it's not a preferred style. So is life. You could be married with a happy family, but if it isn't the happy family that they picture, they'll scrutinize it. That's just how it is. Everybody got something to say before they get it, but most of them aren't Arch Manning. So that's the only thing I would say to that. It's only one game, thankfully, so you can't determine that Arch Manning won't do a decent enough job in the college football season to probably live up to expectation. Because I still feel like he could perform over in a high level. And just trying to determine that over one season is absolute bullshit. That's a bit unfair. It's kind of disrespectful, and I hope people kind of grow over pushing this much of high expectation on guys that obviously you can't always live up to expectation in the first game. Like that's going to be a bit unfair. And now people try to co-expand this with Shador Sanders and his scrutiny since he got drafted. Hell, even since media day, and then you get the it never stops. It never stops with guys like that. I'm not denying that Shador Sanders didn't play. Shador Sanders didn't put up work, or else there wouldn't be a more competent guy like Dylan Gabriel that was picked higher over the record with a more consistent win loss record, with more bowl appearances, and probably better touchdown and percentage rating, either than Shador's accuracy, but not NFL level accuracy. And that can't depict that you're going to start over a guy that's played a fucking Super Bowl before. I don't care how good you were in the fucking Big 12. So that's my expectation on it. I hope Arch Manning could live up over expectation. So we don't get that type of comparison to Aaron Rodgers when he played for the New York Jets. Hell, you know what was more fraudulent? North Carolina losing to TCU. North Crackalack losing to a team that got 50 bombed in a national title game. You're telling me we could talk about Shador? We could talk about Arch Manning not living up to expectation. They played the number one team in the country. No harm in that. Of course, no one's gonna have an issue if you losing. No one's gonna have an issue if you losing to the number one team in the country when you're ranked as well. Number three is pretty high for expectations for Texas, but at least they were expected to make college football playoffs, knowing how much uh who is who is a who was the last quarterback? Quinn Ewing. It was Quinn Ewing that was the last quarterback for the Texas Longhorns beforehand. But North Carolina, with the greatest head coach of all time, losing to TCU, has to be Bill Belichick's girlfriend's fault. Like, explain that to me. Like, when do the double standards fall? Like, fuck out of here, dude. I can get shut out defensively by the number one team in the country, but I lose to fucking bumblefuck TCU. Tell me where people's logic lies, bro. Tell me when it lies. We also got NFL kickoff in just a few days. 2 more days until college NFL starts the fucking season. We open with the funniest game in the NFL season. Dallas Cowboys on Thursday nights playing off against Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas fucking Cowboys, bro. Wah, wah, wah. It gets bad when we talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Knowing their entire season has just been like it gets bad. Like goddamn, how many key players? Offensively, they're probably going to be a high scoring offense. George Pickens is outstanding deep threat around the long ball, and you're stretching that out with a red zone dime like CD Lamb. You still got Ferguson. You guys could still be a top 10 offense in the NFL the way you guys play. But now you guys are playing off against the defending Super Bowl champions. Even though their departures uh kind of had to be dealt with due to getting out of cap hell. you can't say like this wasn't warranted. And they still take over their key pieces where they can still be a top 15 defense in the NFL. So just imagine how it's going to feel with knowing that Dak is going to be on offense a lot more. They're already like a sporadic offense that has to now transition away from being a defensively, inept pass rushing defense now, and have to be reliant on putting up points in the second half that they had an issue with. And that was right after Dak Prescott's injury. Like, I'm being conflicted here. I know certain people that are Cowboys fans and certain people that are Eagles fans. And if you guys can tell me who the hell is going to win this game, because we can push this over to a numbers game. Do we even think like the Philadelphia Eagles are even going to stand a chance? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We obviously know the Eagles are going to stand a chance. But are the Cowboys going to stand a chance or even keep up? Or is Micah Parsons leaving? Excuse me for asking this. Is Micah Parsons leaving going to be the push that the Cowboys need over the long stretch of things, knowing how much that held them over in cap space? And will their defense get opened up? That's just my question. That's all I'm asking. Is there any optimism to losing your key edge rusher after training camp? And I think there's still a couple more key pieces that are still available before right after preseason over cut day. And yet the only conversation that people are having are Shiloh Sanders got cut by the Buccaneers, and they cut some pre-diabetic. Hell no, he's type 3. Motherfucker was like 400 pounds, and all he had to do was no splits, no lifting, no snaps. Let me tell you, no snaps. It's like, bro, you're on Weight Watchers. You're not on snaps today, son. You like, your importance is just burning all the calories. Like, damn, that bad? It's that bad, huh? We also got some NBA free agents that are still available too. And before training camp too, because NBA doesn't start until October, and especially with their schedule listing, I'll be concerned because their team grade last season was at least, after their worst record in NBA history, in NFL history, 7-10, 25th in team grade. After a 19-23 loss against the soon to be division champions out of the second best in the Washington Commanders. And not being a heavily defensive team. What are the Dallas Cowboys' issues to, impact? Because now you got Keeneland, Clark, Osawanga with Williams, Lulu, Murley, and Sanborn. But you still have Trayvon Diggs and Bland. Over in the back line, strong safety still going to be Malik Hooker with Wilson over in their backfield, but they have an issue stopping first downs. And still with a lack of threats in the back of the line, I'm still conflicted. What's going to be the question for how we're going to stop this Eagles squad? Because the Eagles had key departures for cap space, but they still picked up a decent enough offense. Because their offense is pretty exceptional when it comes to their O-line. After still keeping up Smith, Bebe is still here. They drafted a new right guard. They still have now Pickens, Cavante Turpin, that has been an exceptional build and trajectory after his times in the spring leagues. He's built himself to be a reputable special teams play, and then he's made himself a slot. Ferguson, that's not bad as a tight end, like at least a bottom 15 tight end in the NFL. And then you got the Eagles. That I'm still conflicted that I think most of the people doubting over their repeat opportunities are just because they don't like the Eagles, and I don't blame them. To be fair, I don't blame them at all. Because Blankenship, they still have Jackson and Cooper DeSheen, Mitchell, Carter, and Smith are still put over with Beyond. That's like one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Johan Dotson with Devontae Smith, and then you still have AJ Brown with Dallas Goedert having a top-ranked offensive line in the NFL. Saquon Barkley, that's going to probably get a career slump due to he does have a Madden curse on his back, and that always reaps over the team success or the player's health or player's production loss. And look, most of us are not fans of superstition. I'm sure none of us are fans of superstition. But let me keep it 1,000 with you that I expect a lot of people to probably push over any lack of a 100-yard game over a span of the NFL season due to the fucking Madden curse. It wouldn't surprise me. Even though Saquon put up his statistically best season, and you still have the best run offense in the NFL. And if there's any midseason blunder, the hot seat is put on Ryan Sirianni for probably the remainder of the NFL season. And that would be the only concern that any fans would have over the superstition involving the hot seat for the NFL. Because it still stands for any of the power rankings that a good long-standing still has over the somehow the parlay hit over to Washington Commanders, even though Terry McLaurin was teased over to leave until his contractual obligation was put over if there'd be a turnaround season for the New York Jets. Moneyline picking over for the Carolina Panthers to turn around over competitive, unpredictable NFC South. And the Arizona Cardinals. Did any of the other NFL rivals jerseys get leaked? We can look it up right now. So I really want to take it. I thought I was wearing seeing an Oregon jersey for a second. I didn't notice it was a Seattle Seahawks until I saw Cooper Kupp's back of the name. By the way, that is so weird. It is so weird. Cooper Kupp is still a Seattle Seahawk. That is so weird. I guess that's a reconciliation for DK Metcalf going to Pittsburgh. That's still super weird. We got some practice squad obligations. Has Westbrook signed with the Sacramento Kings yet, or no? Because that's practically the only team that would have an interest in him. Yeah, any of these rivals teams your favorites? People have been really liking the snowy, cold front, the Buffalo Bills jerseys. I haven't heard any positives about the Patriots. I just thought that was still their new home jerseys. It looks weak. It's like they're trying to be like big, like young tykes jerseys mixed with college football. It looks fucking weird. Like some of these jerseys come from college-esque from the 2010s when they had the when they had the FitNet. If you guys remember the FitNet era, you saw the stringy tightness that they put on your shoes and stuff in your training shirts. Nike was doing that. Hold on a second, folks. Yes, the NASA's Antetokounmpo has signed a 1-year, $2 million deal, as well as Dante Exum that extended 1 year at minimum $3.3 million. Oliver Maxine Prosper got waived. Who's going to pick him off waivers? The young power forward? The young power forward Prosper got released. Only in the second season. Been making only $3.4 million, and that was off his. He was still over a rookie deal. You cut him off his rookie deal so you don't push him over an extension, and you only got a couple guys to pay. What, you're gonna save over your money for Anthony Davis? Brother's like 30, 31. Now get your plan. I'd almost want to be that guy I saw over in Dallas, walking up over to Nico Harrison when he was having some goddamn dinner with some people, and then just said, "Hey, nice to meet you. We still fucking hate you." Like, you know how bold you have to be. You know how difficult it is to always catch your team's executive over in public and literally tell him how you really feel. Kudos to the fan who did that. He wasn't being violent. He wasn't pushing over a threat. I'm just saying I still disdain you. I don't like you. Oh my God, is that Eagles legend? That's Eagles legend right there. Oh, we got a list. Yeah, people's really mess with the Bills uniforms. New England, that just looks like the budget uniform you get when you can't get the authentic one. I think they call it the fan version. The Niners, I am hit or miss with it. Honestly, I don't mind it. If you want to make it classical all the way they can, I just would have gone without the extra stripes. Nike just doesn't make. Is that supposed to be Jets? That's supposed to be New York Jets. So, NFL, Mr. Goodell, do you just go over to Madden generated relocation when you put up your franchise mode and just put fuck it? Why is the football for the Jets logo supposed to be over near the shoulder plate? Like I know that it's supposed to be like a jet line logo for the team. It just looks off. Miami Dolphins, nobody likes it. Miami. Go Fins. With Miami on the top. Like nobody can identify the color scheme. Seattle's don't look as bad at a glance. It looks okay, but it just looks so plain. I wish Nike stopped being the distributor for these fucking jerseys, bro. Even like you see Jason Kelsey being open, like I miss when Reebok was a jersey distributor. They looked authentic, cool, and durable. Nike shit's always ripped, too thin, trying to be tight knit, unnecessary. And now we got Los Angeles Rams. That just looks like they would have just made it either way. And this obsession with gradient, gotta go when you're dyeing the fucking sleeves over with the blue and trying to drift it over to a navy, but you're having the whole blue. It just looks off. Why not just make a retro jersey? fans like the retro jerseys. You could have made a nod over the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, the St. Louis Rams with the golden navy. Nobody would have complained. I don't mind you guys doing different styles over for your jersey, but I would just say go all out. Make that the identical rebrand for the year. This just looks wrong. And is it only a selective amount of teams? Oh, Jesus Christ. A bunch of criminals over in the Raiders organization. Also, you guys saw Becky Lynch slap the shit out of CM Punk for like 20 freaking minutes, and Punk didn't even attempt to even have Becky on his shoulders to hit her with the GTS. Me personally, I would have beat the ever living crap out of her. Now I can understand that could be put into like poor taste, but like I'm getting slapped multiple times. My wife isn't coming to my defense because we didn't have an agreement yet. Yeah, Bill Belichick, if Tom Brady did not exist. Psh. Is this after the TCU game? It looks like it. It was only 16 hours before. 43-14. It's like, damn, how come we didn't play like that in a national title game? Type shit. And now Tom Brady coming over to the coaching staff for his vacation. Like, oh, God. Tom Brady coming to save Bill Belichick again on the coaching staff. Isn't that a hoot? Oh, but we had. Ooh, look who showed up. It's Randy Moss. Even though I don't think he played for North Carolina. Arch Manning is continuing to get scrutiny.
Be anything. It could even be a boat. You know how much we've wanted one of those.
Bro.
And like
already. Just give up and die. You just fucking die already.
Damn! Cowboys fans, Jerry Jones.
Just give up and die.
Oh my God. I think most Cowboys fans have that sentiment, or anybody from the NFC East that are not Cowboys fans. I think even Steelers would say it. The Eagles fans run it up on the Chiefs after a full year of the Chiefs win. Jerry Jones, the next time he's pumping his gas into okay. I'll say one thing. At least the guy said something like minutely rude, but at least he was honest to Nico Harrison. Imagine what a committed Cowboys fans would do to Jerry Jones. Bill Belichick watching himself accept the job in UNC.
No! No!
Yep, yeah, that's gonna hurt some fans. Green Bay's kickoff game. Anybody knows when that's gonna start? We got YTC's pick'ems for that. So this is the whole schedule right now. Eagles kick off against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday. Then the Kansas City Chiefs have the LA Chargers for their back and forth for the Chiefs. That's bullshit around the second half of the quarter. Buccaneers will play Falcons. That'll be a probably competitive game. Do people expect much out of Michael Penix? Joe Flacco will make his start for the Bengals to be researched, but I know it'll probably be allowed like 27 points over a field goal missed by the Bengals to have their first loss. Miami Dolphins will play against the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones will be starting. But knowing there will be in Indianapolis over to the air conditioning, Tua might lose and probably sniffle and get a concussion. Yeah, the Dolphins winning there. Next is going to be the Carolina Panthers playing off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Can Jaguars actually resurge and have a more decent enough season? I doubt it, knowing that the AFC South was kind of always going to be set in stone if CJ Stroud is still playing. And Jacksonville's kind of over their fraudulent streak after their one comeback win against the Chargers. They have not been the same. He's firing, two coaches or one coach? Since getting Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence already overgiven an albatross for just potential alone. And not really picking up that key over defensive pieces. They have a lack of identities. They do have Armstead, Hines Allen. They still have Hamilton and Walker that's been somewhat consistent more than Nevin Neal. They were in the same draft class. Campbell and Brown, but more people give it over to their offense, knowing they still have great receiver out of Thomas. Hunter, you still need to see what Lawrence can do with Etienne. But they can pick up a decent enough win. Panthers, we still feel. Do people still think Bryce Young has that upside after the second half of the season, learning over from the bench after like Andy Dalton put up a shitload of turnovers beforehand? Do people think Bryce Young has a better upside than Trevor Lawrence in the span of their career so far? Because Bryce Young is still without a playoff win. Even though they got McMillan from the first round, Xavier Legette got himself into a massive stupid ass fight for no reason. And David Moore. Not the most reputable offensive line and a defense that needs work. Even though I love J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn has been one of at least a top 10 corner so far in the NFL since getting drafted. You got Rose Boone Wallace, Mike Jackson that needs to show some upside soon, but he's been okay. But we don't know yet. But expectations right now is still going to be open due to the Saints kind of fumbling over the realm of getting at least a decent enough starting quarterback. And you need to see what would happen with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, knowing that they're probably going to be the open favorites. Knowing the career year Baker Mayfield had as leading passer of the NFL this season. What else we got? We got Raiders versus Patriots. Raiders. Didn't the Raiders just sign Kenny Pickett? Why? Las Vegas really likes hating themselves. They got a 100-year-old head coach. No one expects much of Aston Genty to at least produce after what he did over in Boise. Amari Cooper returns. He returns back to the place that he wanted to leave with Jacoby Myers. This could be a sub 500 offense in the NFL for a last-minute race in the wild card. I don't expect much off this Raiders squad. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. And then we have the Arizona Cardinals playing off against the New Orleans Saints. Cardinals will mollywop the Saints by 21-3, 21-6 probably. I don't know how much you're going to get carried over by Alvin Kamara before he loses his legs. Chris Olave seems to be a walking crash test dummy. No offense to Chris Olave. tremendous upside to be a Pro Bowler, but his injuries always throw a concern whenever he catches a fucking touchdown. Then we have the Jets versus the Steelers. I'm sure Ghetto Kid would be super happy if Justin Fields got what Aaron Rodgers got in his Jets debut back at MetLife 2 years ago. Then we got Giants versus Commanders. I will say that Jackson Dart has shown some upside. Receiving core looks eccentric with a good pass rush. Now, if the Giants can finally find some consistency, this could be an actual conversation due to the depletion defensively for the Dallas Cowboys. Can the Giants finally get over the hump so the NFC East can go back to being the most competitive division in the NFL? Because last season was the NFC North, no question. We had the Chicago Bears having a good second half of the season to at least scratch over for a wild card, but they were already getting eliminated at that point. The Lions were a shoo-in favorite for the NFL before their game against for a Super Bowl appearance until the Commanders crushed their dreams. The Dallas Cowboys were at least selectively good for the first half of the year, and people are expecting a lot off the Packers, but not off the Vikings after depletion of their quarterback situation. Then we got Titans versus Broncos. Can Broncos also build over their momentum from last season, putting up a good season? And more people, this is going to make this like a debut over for their quarterback that I don't mind. Cam Ward, I feel like, can build over that upside, but we've seen that raw potential over good arm power and athleticism not work in everybody's favor. I think anybody could say Anthony Richardson under their breath right now, because that's what I'm expecting. Would I hate to see that happen? Yes. I feel like a first overall pick should be expected to at least produce in a starting quarterback level, especially a quarterback position. Niners versus Seahawks, we're probably going to get mopped in the second half of the season, knowing our chances of choking leads. Packers and Lions, probably game of the week. I have this ending over in a shutout and a surprise play. Can Packers probably snag an upset win? If Jordan Love stay healthy, and how long will their winning streak be? This is probably going to be the two teams knowing both teams have exceptional running games out of Jahmyr Gibbs and Josh Jacobs. This is going to be an outstanding game, as well as Rams and Texans, even though Matthew Stafford's in his last legs. You still have an exceptional receiving core, but obviously not well-acclaimed defense. But this is going to be a decent back and forth. Rams don't play bad football. That's the good part. Then we got Bills-Ravens, another game of the week. And I thought this was going to be their doubleheader. I thought this was going to be the kickoff doubleheader for Monday night, but I think that's for the next week. Then Bears. This is probably going to be Bills. I feel like they've improved their roster a bit more than Baltimore. And Baltimore just snags over kickoff wins after their controversial loss to the Chiefs last kickoff. After I think their tight end literally went like a size up on his shoes to get an incompletion over in the red zone. But especially in home field advantage, I'm giving that to the Bills, no question. Now we have Vikings, Bears. Bears could probably snag over a good kickoff win to start off the season. But out of every Bears fan, I hope you guys choke the game away, obviously. That's it for me over in the DST show. I'm going to cut off stream now. I was going to make this barely an hour long. No, it's out middle of the day. I want to get some stuff done. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you guys are having a decent time at work. If you guys caught this video in the chance, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoy your day.